haven't, basically what we are, so if you've heard of Heritage or Cato or one of those great organizations, we kind of do the exact same thing, but we focus in specifically on the state of Illinois. Our mission as a nonpartisan research organization, we're dedicated to supporting free market principles and liberty-based public policy solutions for Illinois. And basically we engage policymakers, citizens, elected officials, opinion leaders, all across the state of Illinois to help make this happen. And like I said, what we try to do is provide the intellectual ammunition so that you can go out and hold your politicians accountable. Or if you're a politician yourself, you can have a blueprint for what is good public policy once you get down to Springfield or on the local level in Illinois. I wanted to share some of the things that the Illinois Policy Institute has put together in the last year or so. We've done some pretty incredible things. We've really ramped up our efforts in the last year. A lot of publications. So literally every single week we're putting new policy papers on our website about issues like health care, taxation, regulation, education, and transparency. One of the things, and this is probably one of the most popular items that we put out that's gotten the most press in the media, this is the 2010 Illinois Piglet Book. How many of you guys heard about this or saw it on the news or something like that? A couple. Basically what it is everyone knows that we have a really bad situation in the state of Illinois, and the budget is growing out of control. Well, in this booklet, we found about $350 million worth of just silly projects that are absolutely unnecessary in this current economic climate. Some of my favorites in here, and you can get this online for free at illinoispolicy.org. Some of my favorites is Lois Lane statues, bass fishing tubs, and a couple more. Some of the bigger ones I wanted to point out. The Boeing Corporation, which is one of the world's third largest defense contractor, got $1.1 million from the state of Illinois just as a subsidy from the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, the DCEO. And also, $123 million went to the Metropolitan Pier and Exposition Company. And that's for the Navy Pier area in Chicago. So literally, people in Rockford are subsidizing business owners in Chicago to the tune of $123 million. And this is at a time when we can't make basic payments to social service agencies, nursing homes, schools, and a lot of other things that really need to be addressed before we give monies away to corporations. And this is really why policy is important in the state of Illinois, why we need to elect better people to go to Springfield to literally turn our state around, because it really couldn't get much worse. This publication is put together by the American Legislative Exchange Council, a conservative organization of state legislators from all across the United States, along with Art Laffer, who's a pretty famous economist. We're 48th out of 50 in economic performance, 47th out of 50 in economic outlook. As far as our recently legislated tax changes, which means some of those taxes that went into effect last year for alcohol, soda, shampoo, candy, we're 48th as far as the recent developments go in regards to our tax policy. And that's before the proposed tax hike that, according to some, is going to happen in January, whether we like it or not. So this is kind of why we need changes right here. Do we want to be compared to the Californias, the Michigans of the world? Or do we want to change the course of Illinois, turn our state around, and have a better life for our citizens? So in order to do that, we can't raise taxes. We absolutely cannot raise taxes. That is the absolutely worst thing you can do in a time like this. So what the Illinois Policy Institute has done is put together a budget, and this is just a one-page short summary of a much larger document of how we go about doing this. And this is about the first time that any nonpartisan organization has ever done something like this. Here's the bigger version. It's about 180 pages long. But literally what we do is we go through department by department, program by program, and lay out where those cuts need to be made. It starts with some of those $350 million in the Piglet book, but it goes much, much further in much more detail. And actually, we challenge anybody to come up with a balanced budget without a tax hike. We've laid out our framework, and sometimes it's very hard for politicians to explicitly state what they're going to cut, what they're not going to cut. Hey, did this just go off? Okay. Hello? Okay. All right. But we've laid out a platform here, and you can actually go on our website, illinoispolicy.org, Budget Solutions 2011, and we have an Excel spreadsheet. If you disagree with something that we've said here, and you think that a cut should be bigger in one area or less than another, you can actually create your own budget on the Illinois Policy Institute website. And this is the biggest issue in the state of Illinois, but more specifically, what does it entail? We're not going to solve the budget situation in the state of Illinois without addressing the pension issue. It simply cannot be done. Like I said earlier, we have, in the long term, about $82 billion of unfunded pension liabilities in the state of Illinois. And that's an absolute nightmare. So what we've done at the Illinois Policy Institute is come up with a proposal to transition over to a 401k style pension plan. Right now, just to give you a little statistics about what's going on overall on the government level when it comes to pensions, the USA Today recently came out with a study which showed that on average, the average government worker makes about, in Illinois, makes about 17% more than a similarly skilled person in the private sector. That's a big deal. But what's an even bigger deal is when it comes to pensions and health care and other benefits that employees make. And what we found is that in comparison to the private sector employees get about $9,000 in total benefits package, health care, pensions, dental, etc. We found that the average public employee, well, I'm going to do it in a little different way. How much more do you think that a public employee gets in terms of pension, benefits, health care? How much? Twice? It's more. So that's 200%. 400%, bingo. It's about $40,000 per year in comparison to $9,000 a year. So it's a little over 400%. That is a big, big deal. And that is really where we have to focus a lot of efforts in the state legislature to reform the pension system so it's compatible, because we're the ones that are paying the taxes. It used to be that public employees made less than the average person, and they kind of made up for it with more luxurious pension systems. But over time, that kind of flipped. Now they're making more money than someone in the private sector, and they still have those gold-plated pensions and gold-plated health care plans, and it's causing an economic catastrophe in the state of Illinois. So we absolutely have to address that issue. And spending realignments. We lay out in this budget document a lot of spending realignments. Like I mentioned earlier, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Well, if their mission is to make Illinois a better place to work and make it a more prosperous place, they've absolutely failed. And we don't think that government should be involved in advertising for some businesses, but not others. Some special industries and not others. And like the Boeing Corporation, actually that amount of $1.1 million came from the DCEO. And we actually advocate for a complete elimination of that department. We also advocate for a lot of combining of duplicative programs and duplicative agencies. So there's a lot that we need to be done. You can get more information on our website about that. We found out through transparency that snowplow drivers were getting paid $48 an hour in the wintertime. That's the base pay, which is ridiculous. Even though that we're in Cook County, salaries for snowplow drivers are not that high. We found out that the neighboring Hoffman Estates was paying their drivers $20 an hour. So, why are we paying an additional 140% premium on snowplow driving? And at the same time, they were proposing an income tax a property tax hike. So we went to the media. We wrote a letter to the editor, and we said, hey, what's going on here? Why are we paying so much for snowplow drivers? We went to a village board meeting, and brought this up to the village board members. And guess what? 2 weeks later, after that letter to the editor appeared in the paper, they reduced that salary down to $25, and we saved the taxpayers of Schaumburg hundreds of thousands of dollars in just that first winter. So that's the power of transparency. Yeah.
Good for you.
Basically, what the Illinois Turnaround Tour is that we need politicians, we need civic leaders, we need citizens to stand up for the policies that are going to turn our state around. Here is the plan. We have a couple copies here, but obviously tomorrow night we're going to have a lot more copies, and we're going to go into greater detail about it. But basically, we've put together a platform of ideas, of policy, to turn our state around. And number one is to control, out of control, government spending. Very, very simple thing. In the last 10 years, government spending in the state of Illinois has increased by 29% above population and inflation. What we propose is to cap spending at the level of inflation plus population growth. And if we would have done just that 10 years ago, can anyone tell me what the budget situation would be today? Can anyone take a guess? Surplus. Yes, exactly. A small surplus. Not that much. If it would have been last year that we measured it, it would have been a little bigger surplus. But yes, we would have a small surplus if we did that one policy decision to limit spending to the rate of inflation plus population growth. That's one of the proposals in here. And the other main theme in this is that when you make a decision when you're in Springfield, you got to ask yourself the question, is this going to create jobs in Illinois, or is this going to destroy jobs? Is this going to make our citizens more prosperous or less prosperous? And what we're doing at the Turnaround Tour tomorrow is that we're going to give a presentation. At 6:30 we're going to be opening the doors, and we're going to have pizza and pop available for everyone. So we'll provide that. You guys provide the questions for the candidates. The format is going to be at 7 o'clock. We're going to have a Turnaround Tour presentation with a short video and basically going into more detail about how we're going to turn around the state of Illinois. What are the policies that we need to enact? Really, what the Illinois Policy Institute is trying to do is to arm people like you guys that are here tonight with the intellectual ammunition that you need to go out and do battle, to raise awareness in your own community, to raise awareness to your legislators. I forgot to mention we have an Adopt a Legislator program coming down the pipeline. And we want people to really babysit their legislators if they stray from what they said on their campaign platforms for lower taxes. Tomorrow night, so I'm going to plug it one more time, free pizza, free pop. You guys provide the questions. 6:30 at the Best Western Clock Tower Resort. We're going to have a candidate forum with a lot of the local candidates coming out. So I hope this isn't the last time I see you guys. I hope we see you tomorrow and further down the road. Maybe some of you guys will be reporting government waste to our new investigative reporter. I look forward to that. And I look forward to seeing the rest of you again sometime down the road. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, let's go over these. Okay, Mark Kirk and Robert Zadek, they tied. Okay, that was a dead heat tie. That is weird. Okay, it's kind of cool though because I mean, Zadek is a write-in. Okay. For governor, lieutenant governor, okay, it's going to be Bill Brady and Jason Plummer. Don Manzullo won the vote by 91%. He beat George Galrock.